This is Dig Deep NYC, and I am going to explain why Canarsie is not a transit desert like most other people think. All of these areas listed here is stated or known to be transit deserts, even though most of them aren't, because most have multiple bus routes with connections to trains, even their own trains, and very important connections to other neighborhoods. Now, there are only two actual transit deserts, including Marine Park, which only has the B13, the B31, the B2, the B100, and the B3. Same as Mill Basin Island, which includes Georgetown, Bergen Beach, and Mill Basin, and Garrison Beach, which only has the B41 limited and local B100, BM1, B47, B3, B31, B4, BM4, and that's it. It's not really that much. So, now time to get to the true neighborhoods, which is Flatlands, East New York, and Canarsie. But Flatlands and East New York isn't our top priority right now. So, we're going to talk about Canarsie. What do these three neighborhoods have in common, whatever? Well, that's the B82 Select Bus Service. Select Bus Service is a very important type of variation of bus that skips stops and makes more reliable stops, like at major bus transfer points and major straight subway points. The B82 primarily runs in these three neighborhoods and makes a bunch of transfers, including the L train, which is also a part of Canarsie, but we're not at the trains yet. We're still at the buses. Overall, the 82 Select Bus and the local is very important. You get to take the local to Coney Island. You don't have to take no complicated transfer and experience train delays. Now for the B103 and the B60. These two bus routes are very important and originate from Canarsie Williams Avenue. The B103 makes key transfer points like Casman Plaza, downtown Brooklyn, and Flatbush Avenue, Brooklyn College. Meanwhile, the B60 makes stops at Broadway. The B60 makes stops at Chauncey Street Station, Bushwick, and Williamsburg Bridge Plaza, including transfers with the B44 Select Bus Service and Marcy Avenue. Both of these are very important because they go all around Brooklyn, especially north and south. The 103 goes from North Brooklyn to South Brooklyn, which is actually pretty cool as the 103 covers a bunch of area and it shares its route with an express bus called the BM2. Speaking of BM2, let's talk about it. BM2 is an express bus route that shares its route with the B103 up until they enter Prospect Expressway, when the BM2 enters Hugh L. Carey Tunnel, also known as Battery Tunnel. This goes from Canarsie Williams Avenue or Spring Creek to Midtown Manhattan 57th Street. This goes via the same as the 103, but it goes via Church Street and Madison Avenue. Now, we're going to explain more about this, as its major transfer points is Court Yellow Road, also Brooklyn College. Okay, listen, it has the same transfer points as the 103. And now, let's talk about the Manhattan transfer points, however. We have Battery Park, we got Bowling Green, I guess Rector Street, I guess Whitehall Street, even though it mostly transfers to Bowling Green, but whatever. And then it transfers to, City Hall, It transfers to City Hall. It also transfers to Grand Central. Yes, it transfers to Grand Central. And other select bus service routes like the M23, M15, and the M34. The BM2 has three variations. The normal one, when it does service to Midtown normally. Downtown Loop, which actually loops into FDR Drive and then loops back, which actually loops to Water Street and then makes its final stop at Whitehall. Damn, I'm so sorry. And then now for the Super Express variant. The Super Express skips Battery Park and makes all the other stops. The B6 is a bus route that goes from Bensonhurst to Rockaway Parkway Station for the local. But for the limited, it goes from Bensonhurst to New Lots Avenue Station. Key transfer points of this route is Flatbush Avenue, Brooklyn College, Brooklyn College itself in the campus, New Lots Avenue Station, Rockaway Parkway Station, and a few other Bay Parkway stations. The B6 Limited functions as a select bus service when it enters Avenue H, sharing it with the 103. It skips two 103 stops, 56th and 45th Streets, and goes straight to Utica Avenue for more reliable service. However, for the B6 Limited, even though it shares most of its route with the B82, it makes 0 transfers to the B7 because it doesn't go on Kings Highway. But the local makes 1, which is Avenue H and East 48th Street, or Avenue H and Cincinnati Avenue. You could transfer to the B7 that way because Kings Highway is right there. It's a very good route, and unlike the other routes, it actually ends in Canarsie, like the B60. And it's from Ulmer Park depots instead of coming from East New York depots and Spring Creek depot like the other buses. That's what makes the B60 and the B6 very similar. They also share Glenwood Road together for a moment. Overall, that's it for the B6. Now we're going to talk about more bus routes. B6 is a good route itself. Canarsie isn't just a transit desert. It's also a New York City record holder with the B42 as its route. The B42 starts in Canarsie and ends in Canarsie? Yes, this is true. It starts at Canarsie Pier and ends at Rockaway Parkway Station, and it stays in Canarsie, one neighborhood. That's how short it is. It is way shorter than the B39, and people don't know that the B42 is the shortest route in New York City, even though it's actually the B42, not the V39. So Canarsie does have a record to its name across all the 300 plus neighborhoods in New York City, and the B42 makes key transfers like Avenue M, Avenue L, and Flatlands Avenue, and Glenwood Road with the Rockaway Parkway Station. And Seaview Avenue, because the B17 exists, and there's not really much to sum up about the B42. That's it. It used to be a trolley line, okay? And it used to be an extension of the L train. That's it. Okay, bye. Like the B42, the B17 has a pretty unique terminal, starting at Canarsie Seaview Avenue, or Canarsie East 80th Street, to Crown Heights Eastern Parkway, transferring to the 3 and 4 trains. Its major transfer points are Eastern Parkway, Avenue B, Kings Highway, Avenue M, Avenue L, and Rockaway Parkway Station. And there are plenty of more. Oh, and Church Avenue especially. And Clarkson Avenue. And Lenox, maybe. But the B17 is a route in Canarsie. There's not really much to say about it, but there's another variation of it coming soon called the B76, but we'll explain that later, okay? That's another category. Last but not least, for this category, we got the B82 local/select bus service. The B82 select bus service is one of the 3 select bus services in Brooklyn, New York. The only select bus service I've never written in Brooklyn was the B46. Maybe one day I'll write it. But that's not the case. That's not the thing. The B82 has key transfer points like Kings Highway, like a few Kings Highway stations, Flatlands, East 105th Street, Remsen, because Flatlands Avenue and Remsen Avenue is actually the heart of Canarsie. And you got Utica Avenue, you got Flatbush Avenue and Kings Highway, and you got Kings Highway and Nostrand Avenue. Man, the B82 has so much transfer points, I can't even name a lot. Now, the select bus service skips many stops, including B6 limited stops, which really makes sense because it's a select bus. The local ends at Coney Island, but the select bus ends with the B6 in Bensonhurst. Overall, these two routes are one of the most important, and the B82 is known as the longest bus route that stays in Brooklyn. Psst, even though it's the B103. This is the B8, probably one of the most unique bus routes in all of Brooklyn. It doesn't just go into Brownsville, Canarsie, and Bay Ridge, but it goes into East Flatbush in many different neighborhoods. It is a long way, all right? The B8 is a local route that starts at Bay Ridge 95th Street Station to transfer to the R train and ends at Rockaway Avenue and Hedgeman Avenue. Rockaway Avenue. So that even connects it more to Canarsie because the B60 goes via Rockaway Avenue. The B60 goes via Rockaway Avenue, which gives it a better connection to Canarsie. And not just that, but Hedgeman also connects to the B35. But the B35 has nothing to do with this video. The major transfer points of the B8 is Rogers Avenue and Avenue D, or Newkirk Avenue, which transfers for the 2 train, Newkirk Plaza, and Hedgeman Avenue, Bay Ridge, and a few 18th Avenue stations, because it does go via 18th Avenue, because it plays a major role in Bensonhurst. Very major role in Bensonhurst. The B8 is a very, very good route, and very, very important, very, very long. The B8 is actually my dad's home route. He was raised in Bensonhurst for most of his life, and the closest bus route to him was the B8. The B8's a cool route, and it's pretty useful and pretty good. Here's when it enters Canarsie. This route enters Canarsie from Avenue B, from Avenue B, Remsen Avenue, from Avenue B and Ralph Avenue, from Beverly Road to Linden Boulevard. Beverly Road, Avenue B and Remsen to Linden Boulevard and Rockaway Parkway. That's its service in Canarsie. The B47 is a route from Mill Basin to Bedford-Stuyvesant. It also transfers to the J train and enters Bedford-Stuyvesant like the B60 does. So the B47 and B60 are very similar, but the B47 is even more similar with the B17. But why? This is because a portion of Ralph Avenue from Mill Basin to Remsen ends there. And then Ralph Avenue comes back at East 98th Street after the Sutter Avenue and Rutland Road station. The key transfer points of the B47 are Flatlands Avenue and Ralph Avenue, Glenwood Road and Ralph Avenue and Avenue N, Ralph Avenue and Avenue K, Ralph Avenue, Remsen Avenue, Kings Highway, Ralph Avenue and Church Avenue, which is basically Remsen Avenue and Church Avenue, but whatever, and a few others like Wyckoff Hospital, Woodhull Hospital. Do you know who else goes to Woodhull Hospital? The B15, which goes to JFK, which is actually a very, very important key transfer for the B47. And that's it. Now, let's move on to the Brooklyn bus redesign. Oh, and Kings Plaza. Mainly the B3 and the Q35, not the other terminal. Last but not least, the B76 which is a part of the Brooklyn Bus Network redesign. This bus route is supposed to replace the East 80th Street branch of the B17. It is very similar to the B17, B42, and the B60. Its important key transfer points are East 80th Street and Avenue M, East 90th, Remsen Avenue and Avenue L, Rockaway Parkway and Avenue L, and then Rockaway Parkway and Flatlands Avenue, Rockaway Avenue, Hedgeman Avenue, Rockaway Parkway Station, and plenty of more. But this is supposed to go to Broadway Junction, not Williamsburg Plaza. And according to the Brooklyn Bus Network redesign, the B60 does the same. So, that's it for the B76. It's just a new route. That's utterly useless. Put it in another place or something. Like, bring it to a neighborhood and, like, maybe, not Crown Heights, something else. Greenpoint, I guess. I don't know. Whatever. Just do anything. Maybe Red Hook. Damn it, the B81 already does that, okay? You know what? I'll talk about the Brooklyn Bus Network redesign later in a video. Just, that's it. Goodbye. We're going to move to another category. The L train. The most important route in the entirety of Southeast Brooklyn. The L train originates from Canarsie and ends at 14th Street and 8th Avenue. Its key transfer points are Broadway Junction, Livonia Avenue, Myrtle Wyckoffs Avenue, and something else, Metropolitan Avenue and Lorimer Streets. You got, something, you got, oh, yeah, you got, many other bus stops, many other train stops, but Manhattan, basically almost everything. First Avenue, that's the T train and the M15. Third Avenue, a normal train stop. And then you got Union Square, 6th Avenue, and 8th Avenue. Important stops. The L train is very important. As of right now, there are current delays in Broadway Junction. And the L91 is the shuttle bus for the L train. The L train has 4 shuttle buses. The T426, that used to be the L91, but since August 30th has been renamed to T426. The L90, the L92, and the B111. The B111 ends at Myrtle Avenue and Wyckoffs. But the B90 starts, the L90 starts there, I believe. It starts there, and it ends at somewhere else. I'm not sure. I don't know. But anyway, that's about the L train. And the L train actually has some sort of symbiotic relationship with the B60. Let me explain it. First, at Rockaway Parkway Station, Rockaway Parkway and Glenwood Road, the B60 is there. And then, you won't see the B60 until you go all the way to Wilson Avenue. And when you get off that station and walk 1 block, you'll see Cooper Street. And boom, the B60 is right there. And then you go to Morgan Avenue. You get off. You make sure to get off at the right block. And then boom, the B60 is right there. Montrose Avenue. You get off Montrose Avenue. Oh, and would you look at that? The B60 is there too. In total, the B60 transfers to the L train 4 times. And guess what? It doesn't even run under it. That's the crazy part. Or over it. Like the M15 and other buses. The B60 is the bus that transfers to one singular subway that it doesn't run over it or under it. the most in New York City. It's crazy that the B60 and the L train are very similar, because Bushwick heavily relies on Canarsie for their transit. The B60 and the L train primarily run through Bushwick. Bushwick needs these two routes in order to go to a specific area. For example, like Williamsburg Bridge. You could take the M, or you could take the B60. But most people would pick the M. But no, you could pick the B60 too, okay? Or you could pick the L and then just take a bus down there. Yeah, a bus down there. It's very important for the L train to be there. The L train transfers to a bunch of bus routes, but it only transfers to 2 bus routes that are select bus service. The B82 select bus service, and then you go all the way, M15, and then the M14. Yeah, it's not that big on select bus transfers, but it's okay, I guess. The L train is still an important route. It's the second shortest train route in New York City, but yet it's one of the first. Originated from the Long Island Canarsie branch as it started. And then the L train was then continued by a trolley line, which is now the B42, from Rockaway Parkway Station to Canarsie Pier. There are people in NYC Rail who plan to extend it, like to C, as in, yeah. And then the stops that were listed were Avenue L, Seaview Avenue. Yeah, Seaview Avenue is a stop, I believe. Seaview Avenue and Canarsie Pier, obviously. But yeah, that's a lot about the L train. Almost all buses depend on the L train. Sometimes the B82 select bus and the local, no, mostly the select bus, sometimes it starts at Rockaway Parkway Station. That's the crazy part. I don't know why it does that, but it's pretty interesting to hear from it. The L train is one of the most important train routes in Brooklyn and is one of the most well-known in Brooklyn. And that's it about the L train. Yeah. The L train's pretty cool, I know. And it also has 2 stops in Canarsie, by the way. Canarsie Rockaway Parkway and a forgotten station known as East 105th Street. It is not really known as a station, but it's a station, alright? And it's still in Canarsie. Alright, now time to sum this all up. Alright, let's search something up in Google over here. You have transfer deserts in Brooklyn. And would you look at that? Canarsie shows up. But after all of that evidence, this is actually incorrect. Canarsie is not a transit desert. As you can see, Canarsie is not a transit desert. New York Times is kind of wrong because IBX, IVX is just going to make Canarsie more of a transit forest. So Canarsie is rather a transit forest more than it is than a transit desert. A community in which access to public transportation is limited. That's what transit desert means, a true meaning. And as you can see, that is true with Red Hook. But is it true with Canarsie? No. Canarsie is rather a transit forest because there are multiple ways to get to Queens, especially behind. Are there any ways to get into the Bronx? Psyche, yes there is. You just take the 103 to Brooklyn College, And then you have the 2-5 trade, and you can take them to the Bronx. That's what you can do. And plus, you could take other stuff to Queens. You could take Broadway Junction. You could go to Jamaica. You could go to Far Rockaway. You couldn't even go to Rockaway Park with the Q35 if, once again, you take the 103 to Brooklyn College. There are many different key transfer points. Or if you're just a lazy person that actually wants a route from Canarsie that goes into Queens, take the L train. Get off Halsey Street. That's where you're in Queens. Halsey Street borders Queens and Brooklyn. It's the border in between it. The Canarsie bound side is in Brooklyn, but the Manhattan bound side is in Queens. But some of the Brooklyn bound side is in Queens, so technically the station is in Queens, even though the route map lists that L train station, Halsey Street, is in Brooklyn, even though that's not supposed to be true. And the reason why East Flatbush is crossed out at the start is because that's obviously a transit forest. What do you think? It's East Flatbush. It got so much stuff. And yeah, that's what I gotta say. Oh, let me just debunk a comment from Reddit. This is from the unofficial Reddit of Brooklyn. When you see this post talks about desolate parts of Brooklyn, and he's listing East New York, Brownsville, and Canarsie as desolate parts and dense parts, but it's not really true because he says that it takes a 15-minute walk to go to your nearest deli. That is so not true because the closest deli to me is only a few blocks away from me. Like, it doesn't take that much of a walk, okay? And plus, a 15-minute walk isn't even that long. You just gotta get used to it. So, you gotta, really think about it. And plus, if you live far from a deli, say you live at 105th and you live at Avenue L, that's pretty far, East 108th, or Flatland Street. That's fine. Just take the 103 or take another bus. Not that deep. And if you live in Rockaway Parkway, oh, you're even luckier because there's delis everywhere. Yep, Rockaway Parkway got plazas, same as Seaview Avenue. They got everything. That intersection is huge. It's probably one of the most hugest intersections in Canarsie. Rockaway Parkway and Flatland is a contender, same as Seaview Avenue, Rockaway Parkway. Yeah. It's a pretty big intersection, but overall, Canarsie's not dense, because, very easy public transportation access to get to a deli. It could be any deli. If you live at 105th, you could take the 103 to Flatlands, and then, boom, there's a deli right there. Just get off. Or, you could just go into 7-Eleven. Not that hard. And plus, even if you want to get off at Williamsburg, you could just take that to, you could take, there's a KFC. You could take the 103 to KFC by getting off at Canarsie Williams Avenue and then walking, half a block, and then Canarsie KFC is right there. Or if you want to get Taco Bell, same thing, because the KFC and Taco Bell is combined. So, overall, this is not true. Same for East New York. Listen, East New York is southeastern Brooklyn. And technically it is, even though at the same time it's North Brooklyn. But, I'll get this fruit fly away. Get out of my room. Okay, fruit fly. I can't ignore the fruit fly. Same as Brownsville. There's delis there, too. Alright? It's just a project. Brownsville's dangerous, so don't probably risk being in Brownsville. I've seen someone almost get shot there. Brownsville is, real. They're being dead serious when they're talking about Brownsville is the most dangerous neighborhood in New York City. It is. It's not in the Bronx. It's Brownsville. And yet, one of the most safest towns in Texas, most safest neighborhoods in Texas, is also named Brownsville. And yet, one of the most unsafe in New York is Brownsville. That's pretty weird. But overall, Canarsie is not a transit desert because you could go anywhere with it. Anywhere. Because the B103 exists, and the B103 is very important. This is why it shouldn't be cut off, okay? You want to go to Smith 9th Street? You want to take the G train? 103. F train? Oh, 103. Huh? That's true. The 103 is important for that. Atlantic Avenue Barclays Center? 103. It's not that hard. You don't have to get off at Brooklyn College and then take the 41. It's even worse. Just stay on the 103 because you don't want to deal with that Flatbush Avenue traffic, and you know that for sure. So that's why the 103 should be kept, because nobody's taking the 41 to Cadman Plaza, because nobody wants to deal with that Flatbush traffic, okay? No one does. So just go on the confusing route of the 103. It might be confusing, but it's very efficient. It technically almost stops at Red Hook, I think. I'm not sure. It doesn't stop in Red Hook. Yeah. But still, Canarsie is very helpful. 103 is the most helpful route in Brooklyn, the longest route in Brooklyn that stays in Brooklyn. People say it's the B82, but it's been proven that it's the 103. So, yeah, Canarsie doesn't have just the shortest bus route in New York City. It has the longest bus route in Brooklyn. Technically, the longest bus route in Brooklyn. So, that's what the records of Canarsie is for transit. And one of the first trains out there. Trolley lines. Alright, next video from me, we'll talk about Farragut Road and how it transforms other streets. Thank you, and let me know if you want more of this informational content. Sorry this is long. I think the Farragut Road one would be shorter. But, peace out.